Today, I want to talk about how to forgive a narcissist and move on. That seems like an impossible feat, I'm sure. When you're treated so cruelly by somebody and you have been hurt so deeply, you've been betrayed, you've been dishonored, how on earth can you reconcile forgiveness for this person? Well, let's go ahead and talk about that today. I'm going to share with you how I forgave a narcissist and moved on with my life. My name is Amy, and this is Narcaway. My channel is devoted to educating, supporting, and encouraging victims and survivors of narcissistic abuse. Okay, so if you know me at all, if you've been watching my channel, then you know a little bit about my story. I don't share really deep details, but I do share a little bit with you to know where I'm coming from. And really what I talk about on this channel are my experiences and what I've learned from my experiences without diving too deep into the details. But I think it's important to share with you guys something that I didn't know would be possible for myself. And over the years, as I reflect, I have learned that not only was it possible, but it was absolutely necessary. And that is that I forgave my abuser. Now, that sounds really impossible, I'm sure, to many of you. And maybe you're gonna click off right now and say, there is no way I am going to forgive that person. There is absolutely no excuse or reason or any justification for why that person ruined my life, maybe, treated me so badly, gave me a nervous breakdown, made me lose everything, my friends, my family, my house, my children. How on earth and why should I forgive that person? And you're absolutely right. There is no justification for that. There is no excuse. There is no reason on earth that somebody should be able to get away with doing that to you. The thing is, it's happened. It's in the past. There's nothing you can do to change that. So you need to learn how to go forward with your life with that trauma. And it's natural to be angry, and there is a definite anger component and phase to your healing process. But you cannot stay there in the long term. Being angry is not sustainable, because that will turn you into a bitter, unpleasant person, and that's how the narcissist wins. If the narcissist beats you down to the point where you cannot let go of your anger and you maybe become narcissistic yourself or toxic at the very least, then you can say the narcissist has won at that point. And that's not what we want. We want to rise up. We want to heal. We want to walk away from that trauma and get to a point where it shapes us into better people. We need to have our head high, our integrity intact, and learn from what we went through how to be a better person, to love yourself more, to love the people around you more, and to become a healer. You're self-healing, and maybe your path might take you to heal others that have walked a similar journey to you. And that's what happened to me. And I didn't expect this. I didn't go out aiming to be a healer or to make YouTube videos. It was never my ambition to have a YouTube channel or do any of this. And my path, my healing journey brought me here. And that was a result of me refusing to stay in the anger stage. It was refusing to let the narcissist win and take me down. It was refusing to remain the person that I had become for a while I was in an abusive, toxic relationship, because I didn't recognize myself anymore. I became someone who I never knew before this, and who thankfully is gone now. It was a temporary personality that I developed as basically protection and a result of the abuse that I was enduring. But soon as I got away from that abuse, I was able to shed that my own toxicity and my own defensive personality and get back to my joyful, bubbly, high energy, loving, big-hearted self, which I was before I met him. And not only am I that now, but even more so. I can definitely say my heart is way bigger now than it ever was in my life. And that is a result of the trauma that I suffered from a very, very toxic person in a very, very toxic relationship. So you're probably asking, well, how did you get there, Amy? What did you do? And what I did personally might not work for you. Everybody's a little bit different, but I'm going to share my journey with you. And if you can pick and choose little pieces out of it that you can use to get to your end goal, where you're going to be a loving, happy person, then that's all I can ask for you. I hope you can get there, because living in anger is no way to live. And that's basically the first step that I took, is I decided very early on that I would not live in anger, that I would not let him beat me, and that I would not be wallowing or full of self-pity or be a victim anymore. I decided very early on that I was going to beat this. So I shifted my mentality early on. And mind you, it didn't happen immediately. I did go through all of the grieving stages. I had massive amounts of loss, because not only did I lose my partner of 10 years, but I lost a huge friend group, a huge support group. And the loss of that was devastating to me. So I had to grieve the loss of my whole social group. And I was angry about that, because it wasn't fair, and it wasn't fair. And I went through that process of anger, but I also knew while I was angry that I was not going to stay angry. Another thing I did was I researched the heck out of narcissism. As soon as I discovered that what I was dealing with was a narcissist, and I was in a narcissistically abusive relationship, I started researching it. I was on YouTube hours a day. I was Googling, I was researching, everything that I could dive into, I did. And that education is very key. To forgive your abuser, you must first forgive yourself. And I know for me, I was very hard on myself. I held a lot of shame and regret when I first left the relationship, because I knew I had sold out. I had given up so much integrity to appease the narcissist, which was not of my usual stand-up, like strong personality values. So by letting those values go, I felt a lot of shame for that. I wished and had this regret that I had stood up for myself better and not let him take me down the way he did. So I had to learn that this was part of his process to control me, and that it wasn't my fault. He had weakened my boundaries slowly over time. This is not something that happened overnight. This was not something that happened instantly or quickly. This was a slow, drawn-out process over a decade. So by the end of it, I was just really worn down, and I was so confused, and I didn't know what was up, what was down. So when I left this relationship and I was able to do the research and understand that these were all tactics and actually see them in retrospect, oh, his actions absolutely lined up with this manipulation, and this was his goal of control. And I was able to forgive myself through that process, to understand that I wasn't weak, I wasn't a bad person, I was a victim of circumstance, and it didn't have to stay that way. I could build myself back up, I could regrow, I could gain everything back that I had lost. So that was a big part of the process, forgiving myself. Learning to love myself, learning to love my flaws. You know what? None of us are perfect. We all have room for improvement. And the thing is, the narcissist, they love to remind you of your flaws. And they will drill it into your brain so hard that you become brainwashed. And you believe that these flaws are serious personality defects where you are actually unlovable because of them. And you're lucky because the narcissist still loves you. So you get that drilled into your head. You have to undo all that. And once you do, it's so freeing. You're like, yeah, you know what? So what I do this, or so what I look like this. This is not the end of the world. I am not a bad person because I'm a flawed person. We're all flawed people. And the ironic thing is the narcissist of all is the most flawed person. And they fail to recognize that because they have to delude themselves in order not to just implode, probably, because they're so, they've got so much going on there. Okay, so you've got to let go of that anger. You've got to forgive yourself. You've got to do the research. You have to understand what you're dealing with. Now, I'm going to go ahead and assume that you're no contact, because really you have to be to get through these stages. So that's part of it too. When you're not constantly seeing that narcissist on your social media feed, you're not seeing what they're doing, you're not looking for what they're doing or who they're doing it with or getting updates, that is going to allow you to move on. And when you're moving on, you are going to do things without the narcissist, which is new and it's scary, and that's how you grow. You're trying new things, you're meeting new people, you're going on adventures, you're, maybe developing new hobbies that you never had before. This is growth. And I don't want you guys posting and doing any of this stuff for the sake of the narcissist. I don't want you, this is part of no contact, so this is why I'm assuming you're already no contact, because you're not doing this for the benefit of the narcissist to know that you've moved on. You're doing it for yourself. You are stepping outside your comfort zone. You are growing, and this is going to make you happy. This is going to give you self-esteem, and this is part of moving on. Now, the moving on part is actually what comes back to forgiveness. Once you start moving on, your focus shifts from the narcissist and the trauma and what they did to you to yourself. And that's really where you want to be. Now, there's nothing wrong with that first stage of focusing on the narcissist and understanding narcissism. In fact, you absolutely must do that to get to this stage, in my opinion. But once you do get to this stage, to the moving on part, you're just going to notice automatically you think about the narcissist less and less. They're not on your mind 24/7 like they once were. You know, maybe they pop into your head 10 times a day instead of 20 times a day. And then, you know, 8 times a day. And then a few months later, wow, I only thought about the narcissist once today. And before you know it, you're not going to be thinking about them at all, because what you're going to do is replace them with other stuff. So where you were focusing on the trauma and the abuse and the toxicity and the pain previously, now you're focusing on, oh, I have a new friend to call. I'm going to talk about going shopping or going out for lunch, or we're going to plan a vacation together. Or if it's not a new friend, a new hobby, I'm going to go for a bike ride, or I'm going to start a new collection, or whatever it is. There's so many things in the world that you can choose to do that make you happy. Exercise is a huge activity that you can do that only has benefits. There is no downsides to exercising, and it can be as little as going for a walk. So the point here is shifting your focus. You're filling your mind with positivity, new things, and things for you, things that you enjoy. And it's kind of by default, that just pushes the bad stuff out. You only have so much room and so much space for what you want to focus on. So if you focus on the good, if you focus on yourself, you have less time, space, and energy to focus on the bad. While you do this, while you're moving on, you've already forgiven yourself, or at least you're working on it. And soon you're going to forgive the narcissist, hopefully. Now that's a tricky word, because a lot of people, and I know I had this problem, I thought that forgiveness was a free pass, that me forgiving them meant that they could get away with what they did. But here's the thing, guys. They already got away with it. They already did it. You cannot change what happened. It's happened. Whether you forgive them or not does not negate what they did. They did it, and they got away with it. Unless they have been criminally charged and prosecuted for an actual criminal act by the justice system, then and even if they did have that happen to them, that still doesn't change what they did to you and the fact that they got away with it. They might be punished for some amount of time, but it does not change what they did. So you have a choice to be angry about that forever, to not forgive them for that forever, or to let it go. And that's how I look at forgiveness. What I look at is letting it go and not letting it take my headspace any longer. I have focused on that person for so very long. I focused 100% of my energy on them when I was with them. And even after I left, it took a long time to shift that focus, and slowly the scales started shifting until it became 100% about me. And when it did, when it became 100% focused on me and no longer on the narcissist, on the abuser, on that toxic person that did so many horrible things to me, I realized that my anger was gone and that I forgave them. I did not excuse them for what they did. I will still talk about it. I will still tell my story. I will still make sure that if people ask and I feel that it's appropriate to share, that I'm never going to cover it up. I'm never going to excuse it or let it lay dormant. I have no problem using my voice and sharing. but I'm going to do it in a way that's maybe educational, maybe healing, but never angry. Because to be honest, guys, I'm a better person now because of what I went through. And I know that for a fact. And, you know, I know that this topic, I'm not going to have everybody agree. And I don't think you have to forgive. If it's not in your realm to forgive an abuser, I know a lot of people have issue with that word. So I'm not telling you you have to if that's not what your belief is. But I'm telling you how I did it and why I did it and how I feel after doing it. And I know for me, in my case, the forgiveness is what freed me. Letting him go and letting that abuse and trauma go gave me my life back. I have been able to go forward and create an entire new life with new friends, and how it made me better, just to touch on that real quick, is I select friends carefully now. I don't just become friends with anybody very easily just because I had a nice conversation with them. Once I get to know them, if I see toxicity, if I see bad behaviors, I likely will not engage that friendship or continue it. It's just, I don't have room in my heart. I see the red flags brightly now, and I'm not wasting any more time on that. And that's how it's made me better. It's given me clearer vision. It's only allowed me to let positivity and goodness and light into my life. And that's what I want for you guys. And it is a process. It's not going to happen overnight, but have this attitude, have the lightness, have the want for freedom. If you want it, if you envision it, then that's what you're going to get. If you focus on the anger and the bitterness and the resentment, then that's what you're going to live with. So you guys, you make the choice which way you want to go. And don't forget, it's normal to go through that anger stage. You do have to feel that. So if you're not ready, don't force yourself. But if you find yourself stuck in that anger stage for too long, talk to somebody, buy some books, seek therapy, and reach out to somebody who's gone through it, who can encourage you and can talk you up and help steer you towards the light. Because you know what, that narcissist, that person, they've taken enough from you. They don't deserve one more second of your energy, of you in any way, shape, or form. So take your power back, guys. So I hope this video gives you some light. I hope I've explained how I was able to forgive the narcissist that I was with for a very long time, how I was able to move on with my life and the benefits of it. And I hope, if anything, it gives you some encouragement. I hope I've put a smile on your face. And if you like this video, please go ahead and click the thumbs up button. Leave a comment below. I know that I'm going to get some disagreement with that, and that's okay. Go ahead and share what you guys think down below. And if you don't already subscribe, please go ahead and subscribe to Narcaway now. And I will see you in the next video. As always, guys, I love you all.